Yo, 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 how is everybody doing? It is time for a live breakdown. I haven't done one of these yet, but you know what? It's time. It's time. This Jacksonville game is coming up. I am ready. Hopefully, everybody else is too. I'm just going to give it another minute or so. So as it hits 1 o'clock, I'm sorry, 2 o'clock. We're going to hop into this. I'm going to hop over to the Brad Idzik first, I guess, press conference outside of where he normally does them. So I got that all queued up for you. It's going to be the one with Ari Mirov. So that's where we're going to start. And yeah, so hopefully everybody's ready. And we'll go from there. It's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one for sure. Like I said, I'm trying this one out because I want to see exactly what others are seeing. And of course, give people the opportunity to come by, chat, sit here, talk about Carolina. I'm of course ready for the season. Actually, shout out FPFO. Actually, recently we squashed a little bit of beef, and they put out an awesome prediction for Xavier Leggett. I absolutely love it. Don't have the graphic on me, but if you follow them, make sure you go check it out. Solid prediction, putting Xavier Leggett around 600 yards. I absolutely think that's where he's returning to. And yeah, I think we're kind of all ready for the season to start. So am I. That game last night was an interesting one. Got a Red Bull ready for me here. So let's get this thing going. Uh, okay, so I'm going to kick it over. We're just going to hop into it. How about that? Not even going to play. Obviously, we're going through the Ari Mirov one first. The 47-minute um, presser, whatever you want to call it. It was an interview, basically. I'm just calling it a presser right now. But yeah, shout out to everybody that's here while we do it live. Let's get this. By the way, shout out to Ari for bringing us this. Of course, it's taken me a day or two to kind of get to this just because it's such a long press conference. Like he said, though, Brad Idzik is one of the guys that has been with Canales for a long time, since Seattle. I mean, the original story is playing basketball with Pete Carroll, with him, pulling and tugging on him. That's what Brad Idzik came from. He's learned from a lot of great people. And in fact, that was the focus of my Who Is Brad Idzik. I did an entire series on not only Dave Canals, but I also touched on even Brant Tillis, Dan Morgan, and of course, Brad Idzik. There is an opportunity for Idzik to develop into a fantastic play caller, but he's still very much in the infancy of that play calling tenure. Regardless of what anybody wants to say or what any props he's going to receive, he is still in the process of learning how to truly be an OC. And even now, he is a non play calling OC. So there is not places for me to just say, oh man, he's ready to be a head coach. He is still learning. Same thing with our head coach now, Dave Canales. But regardless, I just want to say shout out to Ari for even giving us this opportunity. So without further ado, let's hop into this breakdown. Hey, and shout out to him. I really like what he's doing in the community. I like the integration of not only him, but his family. There is so much that Brad can offer us. And it's also obviously awesome that you bring a Carolina kid home. So, hey, man, a little bit of that homer for everybody. Brad is absolutely going to change lives as long as he's given the opportunity to here in Carolina, regardless of what he's able to do. We just have to remember we have David Tepper as the owner. So we've got to temper expectations. Brad, shout out for you coming here and getting the opportunity to return to your home team. Man, his dad was involved with the cap and everything. That explains it. His family wasn't NFL guys, It's not like his dad was Emmitt Smith or Luke Kuechly or something like that. He was behind the scenes, and that's maybe where Brad and everything like that. Like even if you go look up the Wake Forest tenure for Brad Idzik, he's not going to explode off the screen or anything like that. There's a reason why he didn't play at a high level in the NFL. So maybe he was always destined to be behind the scenes, but either way, I like the development that I've currently seen from Brad. Hey, shout out. Apparently, Dave said that we are the Legion of Boom. And if you're not believing me, you know what? I'll just put it on the screen because it was kind of insane. I'm not sure. I clipped it. I made sure to put it online because people weren't going to believe me, man. There was no way anybody was going to believe me that Dave was like, "Oh man, we're the Legion of Boom. That's who we are." Now I'm going to struggle to find it, of course. Oh, here we go. Let's scoot it back to this. Boom. Put that back on screen. Look at this. And that's exactly what a guy like Brad Idzik is talking about here. He's talking about guys that want to go out there and win on every snap. He's talking about guys that want to be physical. This is something that not only Canales has talked about forever, but Idzik. This is something that most coaches talk about. Dan Morgan's a big guy of getting your hands dirty. So I like to hear this. And of course, I mean the defensive side of the ball. That's what we're talking about. These guys are both on the offensive side of the ball. So they're hyping up their other guys. I also like to see that. But to be honest, I need to see a little bit more from Brad. He normally doesn't go in front of the podium a whole lot. I think I've only maybe done 5 breakdowns of Brad Idzik. And just in case you guys don't know, I always do their breakdowns right here on the channel. And yeah, he's just not really out there as often. It's normally Dave. It's normally Ajuro. To be honest, Tracy's out there a pretty half decent amount. But it always feels like Brad is kind of protected. Maybe just a tiny bit, or maybe it's just because he just doesn't have a whole lot to say because he's not the play caller yet. But this is obviously going to open our eyes a little bit more into who this guy actually is, because obviously Jacksonville's right around the corner, and Dave wants to get guys like Brad Idzik involved in it, understanding the cadence of when to change plays and how we're calling it and everything. That's why we saw him calling games early. That's why we saw him call the first preseason games. Canales only called that last game because they were trying to kind of get on the same page, him and Evero. So obviously there's something to the development of Brad being maybe tied into helping Dave, of course. Oops. That's an interesting thing to say given where Carolina's coaching staff is. Like we have Dom Capers. We have guys that were high end coaches. So that's great that you want to coach, I guess, lesser guys. And there's of course going to be some of them within the organization. So I like the internal development and this the discussion of it. But it does feel a bit odd, like, okay, you're still learning yourself. I don't know if I really I don't know. Is it too weird to think, man, why are you already trying to mentor other people when you're still trying to learn it? But I guess he's still got what 10 plus years in the NFL, so he's still a veteran. I guess maybe it's just because I haven't seen it translate here in Carolina as we saw it translate in Tampa or in other places. So maybe that's it. Interesting for him to say right there that he feels like he already has the guys here. If that's the case, I'm going to clip this because I think that's going to be something down the road that if for some reason anything goes south, oh man, we just didn't feel like we had the guys and everything. But I guess your cop out in that moment is what was I going to say? Something negative about my team before week 1. I can see both sides of it, but you don't maybe have 100% of the guys that you need. At the same time, I mean, he's still learning too. Maybe he does think that we have those guys. I don't know. I truly don't know in this situation. What an interesting thing to say, though, especially heading into this game. Oops, I was muted. My bad. Apparently, he almost ended up at an NFC South rival. That is an interesting answer. And not only that, he says that he didn't want to use his dad's name. So is this a guy that didn't want to, use any help from his dad? Of course, they talked about his family's tenure as executives and everything. So could there have been a situation where he might have been able to get into a place early? Man, maybe he didn't decide to do that. That's clearly what he's saying. Man, that makes me believe in Brad Idzik just a little bit more. That you wanted to get it on your own salt. I got to give you props there, man. That's something that I didn't know about you, and that's something that I'm not gonna lie, it's a great little factoid. Just so you know, if you have not followed that, that's something I've called out. But since David Tepper got rid of Frank Reich, and even the Frank Reich hire, to be honest, the focus has been very much religious. It's been a thing that a lot of the coaches have really spoken out for. It might just be something really small, but it's absolutely something to think about for sure. If somebody is not open about that, maybe did they not get an interview or something like that? It just seems to be brought up quite a bit. Just a weird little factoid. That is hilarious. So you get the call that you're not getting the job in Atlanta. You ask who the guy is. It's the guy from Seattle. So you call the dude from Seattle's boss and it's like, yo, dude's about to leave. I want that job. And he's like, okay, yeah, come interview for it. And now it's full circle that now you work with that guy. Very interesting. Savage move for sure. Shout out Brad Isaac for that. But damn, damn. Is there a scenario? I mean, his dad only left the NFL in 2020. Last time that he was working, ironically, who did he work for? I'll give it a second. He worked for our week one opponent, Jacksonville. Is there a chance that in some capacity, at some point, if Brad continues to be on this team, obviously Dave is the head coach, Brad takes over play calling, that we transition Idzik's dad into the organization in some capacity? I could see it for sure, especially with the way Tepper it is. Ah, very interesting. Either way, I love the amount of background knowledge we're getting for this guy because it really reveals a lot about him. Again, going back to the previous story, he really didn't want to get any handouts. He didn't want that. He wanted to build his own legacy, his own everything. So that's what he's done. And I have to applaud him. He has absolutely done that. Obviously, now you're the OC of our Carolina Panthers. And you think we've got the guys to win big. So, man, I'm ready. I'm ready for this faith, not only in you, but in this team. Well, also remember two separate things. One, Pete Carroll is the guy that was famous for taking his shirt off when he got DK Metcalf, really met him that infectious positivity. That's also something that Baker Mayfield talked about with Dave Canales. So clearly, that Pete Carroll adage of being overly optimistic is at least replicatable a tiny bit with the right guy. That's what we got with Dave. We got a guy that is able to replicate that positivity, that everybody's pushing in the same direction and that everybody's getting better. Yes, people make mistakes, but we can get better as a team rather than as separate entities. I love that. And to hear that not only Carroll did that, but of course that Canales continued it, I, I'm ready, like ready to run through a brick wall for you, man. Interesting for him to compare it to Seattle. Obviously, that's where he got it. That's what he's telling us. But we've got guys on this offense that can absolutely play outside the numbers. Federer McMillan, Xavier Leggett, Jalen Coker, when healthy, of course, Hunter Renfro, Jimmy Horn Jr., shoot, Bryson Tremaine. All of these guys can absolutely jump off the page in the right moment. I mean, we saw Bryson Tremaine basically take over a preseason game. Some of the catches he was coming up with, maybe it was FanFest. Dude, the stuff he was coming up with was insane. So we've got guys all over. It's very interesting that he's shouting them out. I really wanted him to be like, oh, well, we've kind of got that here in Carolina with Tetaroa and blah blah blah. So let's see, maybe if he caveats off after this. But Yeah, and obviously he assisted with that before. Now in Carolina, though, he's the non-play calling OC. Shout out to Brad Idzik. But our wide receivers coach right now is Rob Moore. I do think it's interesting that he continually brings up that wide receiver coaching. I only say that because we just recently signed Hunter Renfro, who was reportedly debating on whether or not he even wanted to play football. If he did, it was for Carolina, which is fine. Local guy, I understand that. But at the same time, I did say that I think he's going to end up being a guy that ends up on a coaching staff. He's in Carolina now. He wants to be here. Does he end up as a wide receiver coach for Carolina, meaning Hunter Renfro? And if so, perfect guy to learn from would be Brad Idzik. And obviously now with him being the OC, eventually he's going to have to take over play calling, or at least maybe do it a bit more than Dave is doing it. I'm not really sure. I think Dave might hold on to that play calling until he's fired. But at the same time, Brad is obviously telling us something here. Not really sure what, but is this the start of the Hunter Renfro coaching? Maybe. First of all, I think it's crazy that people are saying that he's the guy after that. I think he's got a little bit more to prove, but regardless, this response will tell me a lot about not only his confidence, but to be honest, Dave's confidence. Okay, you guys heard that one too, right? I heard at least two things that I want to talk about. The first thing is commenting on his parents first. I don't know how I feel about that. To be honest, here after this is done, I'm gonna open this up while I get the other video set up, and I'm gonna open it up. So if any of you guys out on Twitter or anything like that, make sure you go to YouTube here in a little bit, and I'm gonna put the link, and you'll see it pop up on screen. If you guys want to come on and talk about this, I'm gonna welcome it because after this, I want to do the Brad Idzik press conference that he did yesterday, and let's see how this compares. The other thing that he talked about in that was we're going to enable who's out there. Team first. Yes, he improved and everything like that. And then he made sure he did some things outside of the thing that didn't work. He did some things inside that didn't work. And he made sure to say that Will Harriger has given him consistent coaching. Does it feel like a setup to you? Because it feels like a setup to me. Before he moves on about Jalen Coker, that comment he just made about Ted Roa explains a lot. So we remember the game. I think it was what the second. Was it the second preseason game or was it the first one where he dropped that one in the end zone where he was fighting that guy for press coverage? He drops that touchdown in the end zone. That comment was directly to him for that. In fact, I'm willing to go back. I normally don't go back. But let's see if I can isolate it. I'm trying to get to the part where he said the offensive line. So if I maybe missed it. Here it comes. So this is him talking about the offensive line. So if you guys don't know, Carolina has three of five starting offensive linemen hurt. Robert Hunt has had the ankle taped twice since July. Damian Lewis has the shoulder. Ickham has just been ruled doubtful to play on Sunday. So this is him saying, hey man, Tataroa, hey Xavier, you're not going to be able to go through these routes the way you want to. You're not going to be able to sit there and let them develop and everything like that. You know what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to go out there, and when that ball says 1.8 seconds and you need to have your hands up, you need to have them up. And this is the reason why. Hurt offensive line. That's exactly what I heard when he talks about this right here. Shout out, Arno. Absolutely. We are going to find out Sunday at 1 p.m. I cannot freaking wait. Everybody better be watching. We got to at least support our team regardless of the outcome. Again, I feel like 100% of what he's speaking about here is directly about Tetarella. Period. Are you having an issue hearing it? It shouldn't give me any issues on my end. Hold on. It's not coming through for you? Oh, geez. Now I'm worried. Oh, no. Have I been streaming this whole time and nobody can hear Brad Idzik talk? No way. What? Nothing's coming through at all? Are you kidding me? What? It's supposed to do everything over. Oh, no. That makes me so sad. Oh, if that's the case, all of this was for nothing. Hold on. No. Hold on. Oh my God, you're 100% right, Arno. Wow. I can't believe this is doing. Okay, I'm gonna have to end the stream then. I'm gonna have to get this figured out. Give me a few minutes and I will be back. Apparently the audio is not coming through, so give me a second to figure this out and I will be right back.